every step back is a way for you to go forward once you don't give up on yourself.
Hello, my people, and welcome to another episode of Sit, Sip, and Chat. If you are new here, my name is Glenda York of GCY Initiative, which is a destination marketing initiative based on the island of St. Martin. And Sit, Sip, and Chat is basically where I sit with different persons in the community that are doing positive things. And today I have with me Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Wever. I'm so accustomed to saying Chris. I forgot the Christopher.
Yeah.
Christopher Wever. Hi, Chris.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for
having a little chat. Yeah, you can call me Chris. It's fine. Most people call me Chris.
That works.
So that's
perfect.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Chris is what I end up saying anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So before we go into our chat, I'll give all you a little information about Chris, and then we're going to just have a little talk. Okay? So Chris Wever is a member of Parliament on St. Martin, and he's been serving since November 2024. He was born in Curacao and moved to St. Martin at the age of 8. Chris has dedicated much of his life to public service on the island, and before entering Parliament, Chris served as the Chief of Staff to the former Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Veronica Jansen-Webster, and he was also previously held the position of Minister of ROMI, which is Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, from 2019 to 2020. He has also held the position of Chief of Staff at VROMI. He's been a research officer at the Division of Exams and was a social worker at Dr. J Enterprises. He attended Sister Mary Lawrence Primary School, and then he attended St. Dominic High. So we don't have those elementary schools in common. So that just means he wasn't, one of the best schools by far, but we're going to hold that against him. He then went on to continue his studies at St. Thomas University, correct?
Correct, in Miami.
In Miami,
yeah.
Earning his bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in tourism and hospitality. He has been married for nearly 15 years, and he's a proud father of 2 children, Audrey and Leo.
Yes.
Sound good?
Sound good.
Sound good. Okay. So we know that you were born in Curacao, came to St. Martin.
Yeah.
Do you remember living in Curacao? You remember those first years?
Vaguely.
Vaguely?
Yeah.
From what you remember, what do you think it was your favorite memory?
My favorite memory actually in Curacao was in the weekend spending time with my grandparents.
Yeah?
Yeah, going to the house on a Saturday by my grandmother and her cooking up a storm, and also they used to have chickens in the coop, and then getting the fresh eggs in the morning and stuff like that. So those memories I miss, your childhood memories when you have those, and especially not having them around anymore. You cherish
you hold
those.
on to those more, so.
Correct. Yeah.
Which community were you from in Curacao?
Otrobanda.
Yeah. I don't know that much about but anybody that's watching can relate to being from Otrobanda.
Correct. So and then school, of course, you remember vaguely certain things. Childhood friends, and also celebrations like Sinterklaas there was big, and now the controversy and stuff like that. So all that change, which does something as well, because if you're accustomed to certain traditions, but now that you're older and you understand it better, you understand? So then you have to reprogram
your mind
at it, Although when I recently went Curacao, I think it was 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and Sinterklaas was happening at that time, you can still see the majority of the Curacao community, the local Curacao community, are so active in it still,
Yeah.
But they also adapted, because you're seeing now the different colors.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So, but those still things, that traditions, Curacao has something that they have a culture, no? So they hold it strong.
That's what I'm saying. Even though they there's the controversy, but because they want to carry it on still, because it's part of their
Correct.
traditions and their culture.
Correct.
You just adjust it to make everybody feel included and nobody
Yeah.
is.
Exactly. So, but even myself, when we moved here, actually, because
You didn't move yourself?
yeah, I didn't move myself. I was too young for that. But my parents came here for work as well. When I first came, and somebody's like, "Oh, you from St. Martin?" Like, no, I'm from Curso. You know, it was still strong in me. But if you ask me now, it'd be like, "Yeah, I'm from St. Martin." I'm from St. Martin. So it's funny how things change, and then the mindset of when you're young to understanding what you are and being part of this community now and majority of my life. So this is home,
Nice.
So
you still hold that your parents what do you call that? Your parents' nationality, because you identify as St. Martin and we will claim you.
Correct.
As your own, but then you're still acknowledging where you spent most of your life
for
growing
sure.
up as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I do want to ask you, because then you came to Martin, went to elementary school, went to high school, you had time in the U.S.
Yes.
Came back down, did a high school, and then went also back to the U.S. How was your experience in the U.S. compared to St. Martin? Yeah, how was your experience compared to St. Martin as far as schooling?
It was an adjustment, especially the first time I went up when I was in high school and they had Hurricane Lewis pass.
Yes.
And a lot of the students then were kind of scrambling to go. A lot of them went to Aruba, Curacao. My grandparents lived at that time in Miami.
Okay.
From my mom's side. So based on that, we went to Miami and I was able to get into a middle school there. And it was different because I find at that time the level we had actually on St. Martin was higher than in the States. So for me, the school was really easy. The only thing I had to adjust was American history and so forth because you get that and then they give you an extra class to kind of catch up to that. So, but besides that, it was a good experience, but I had a choice to make after I finished that one semester or that one term, the school year, that either go finish up high school in the States, because I was able, based on the situation, to get social security numbers, stuff like that. My grandparents were there. To stay there, and then probably now I would have been a U.S. citizen, but I said, no, I want to go back home, So after that 1 year, I came back home, and that's when I ended up going St. Dominic High School and finishing up, actually the first class to graduate from St. Dominic.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're making 30 years this year, so they're having a big celebration as well. They produce a lot of great people in our community,
We'll agree to disagree, Chris, because you still didn't go to one of the best schools by far. So we're going to just leave that there. My people, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Remember, new episodes premiere every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. on TV 15 and across other social media platforms.
I'm Jasenia Lassiter, wishing you a wonderful week.
Stay friendly, St. Martin.
My people, we are back, and I'm kind of vexed with all because nobody didn't tell me that I didn't say what it is I was drinking. It's like, are you curious? But I should be curious about my drink. Today we're drinking, and I come in and share with Chris too. We have a iced mocha latte, and Chris is drinking an iced caramel latte from SXM Crazy Beach Bar and Restaurant that is located on the boardwalk. number 133 on the boardwalk. So we want to say thank you to them for providing our drinks to us today. Guys, definitely make sure you go, you check it out. They have iced coffees, frozen coffees, hot coffees. They have smoothies, they have cocktails, mocktails, pretty much anything that you want to drink. They have it there at SSM Crazy Beach Bar. And if you pass by and check them out, definitely make sure you let them know that you heard about it on Sit, Sip, and Chat. And they also have food. Of course, they also have food. They serve breakfast and lunch the whole day. All right? So just have to make sure mention that, because when people give you nice things, you have to tell them thank you. That's what your parents just say you should do. So, Chris.
Yeah. Well, and before you continue, and this was not scripted, but I must say it's a really good iced coffee.
You like it?
Yeah, yeah. And,
Okay.
You know,
See,
as you know,
like it.
we're coffee. Me, my wife, is coffee people. So yeah, it's really
So
good.
that mean
yeah.
if you say it tastes good, I mean it tastes good for you.
So for sure, I'm gonna get your number because budget meetings coming up.
Okay.
Might need a few of those.
Just let me know. I mean, and after the budget meetings, if I need to stay up, you can pass by in the mornings, because we
correct.
open from 8 o'clock in the morning. They're open. Pass
Get your
by,
breakfast and
get your
everything.
fix, get your breakfast, get your coffee. You come back, you burn that oil and figure
Sound
out
like
what
a
it
plan.
is.
Yeah, yeah. We do it for the people now.
There you go.
Yeah.
For the people, for you. Anyway, so I wanted to ask, because I like to ask persons this, because you never know who's watching and who can be impacted. So you had, you came back down, you did high school, and then you went back up to the States for your college experience.
Correct.
How was your college experience in the U.S.? Or just your college experience, yeah, in general?
In general?
That just happened to be in the U.S.
You know, for me, it took me some time to get the journey going, and I think a lot of persons might be able to relate, because after I finished high school, I took some time off. I actually went to the Netherlands first.
Okay.
Didn't really like the experience there. I mean, have family there and everything like that, but didn't have a great experience. And then I was kind of finding myself, you know. And then one time I said, you know what, it's time to change my path. So I went to the U.S. Had some friends there. Actually, I went high school with, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
St.
nice.
Dominic High, you know. And we said, and my grandparents again were living there, so it was an easy transition to go there. And yeah, then I said, okay, I want to do psychology, because I always, from young, looking out for people, right? And trying to help people and trying to see how I can assist
Yeah.
within the community as well. So I did psychology, and then I said, hey, St. Martin is tourism driven, right? So then I said, okay, how can I minor in tourism?
Nice.
So, but afterwards I found out when I was ready to graduate, one of the teachers said, like, you know, you were missing like one more elective to get,
Business?
no, to get my bachelor in tourism as well. So if I could have get a double bachelor's, but you know, at the time I wasn't focused like that. Yeah, but it's okay. It helped me, and I think the combination of the two really helped. You know, I came back to St. Martin, worked with my dad a bit. Then we went and I had a sports bar, partnered up with somebody, and then afterwards transition, went to Holland again. You know, and that's where I started my family. And then when I came back, because I always said I wasn't gonna stay there, you know, it was a temporary. So then when we came back as a family, then I applied for a social worker, actually student care coordinator
Okay.
by the Catholic school.
So it was college. You stayed with your grandparents, or did you stay on campus?
I stayed by my grandparents for a little bit, and then I transitioned, but off campus.
Oh, off. Yeah,
So I was,
apartments. Or,
yeah, I was living in an apartment
Okay.
for yeah, a good period, and then I came back
in Miami.
in Miami. Yeah.
We're gonna tell those stories just in case we can't tell those stories on camera. We're gonna just leave that. Yes.
Yeah, we'll
take your
drink
sip,
some.
Chris. Take your sip. And then you came back. You experienced post graduation on the island for a while, and then went to the Netherlands, where you met your lovely wife, and then began the journey. How long were you in Holland for when you went up?
We weren't there that long, you know. She was pursuing her degree as well. And it was tough because during that time, we were getting our daughter. So when we got our daughter, I was actually going to school in the Netherlands and pursuing my master's in psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in Maastricht, but we were living in Hengelo. For those that know the Netherlands, know the distance.
Okay.
You know, it's 4 hours there and 4 hours back.
Ooh, okay.
So every morning I would go, I'd leave 5 o'clock in the morning, go to class, take the last train back home, be back at night. Did that for a while. And then when my daughter was born, then we had to make a decision. So I decided then leave my wife finish her education, and I stayed home and took care of our daughter
Nice.
in the meantime, so that she could finish her education. And then we said, okay, when she completed, then we came back, and then I applied by the Catholic School Board, and things work in how they're supposed to work out in life, right? Actually went for a social worker position. We applied. They said no, they had one other person that got the job. And then I think a week later, the Catholic School Board called me back and said, well, we don't have that position, but we have the student care coordinator. Would you be interested in that? Seeing your qualifications, they think that's something I can do. So I accepted, and I started there for 1 school year, and then that social worker got transferred. And then they offered me that social worker position.
Everything in its time.
You know,
Chris.
so everything in its time, exactly. And the same happens politically as well when we reach that point in time. So, yeah, so, you know, every step back is a way for you to go forward once you don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in life, you know, and I think that's the message to give to the people as well. Like, you know, something happens, don't
be
stay
discouraged.
stuck in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, that moment's teaching you something. So listen to it to be able to go further.
Listen to what's happening before you take this next step further. So listen to me. We're going to take a quick break, and then I'll come back and I'll have more chat with Chris. We'll be right back. My people, we are back. My drink almost finished. I'm kind of sad, but we move on. We're still here talking to MP Wever. MP Wever. Okay, so before we left, you did me a favor. You kind of transitioned for me. So on gloss over it. This is not how it actually happened, but we on gloss over it. We started working with the Catholic School Board, and then we ended up in political arena, the government working for government. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, working for government.
How did you transition into government and into the political arena and all of that?
Well, like most people, they want some stability, right? So at the time, the Catholic School Board was going through a transition as well with the social workers. So they were outsourcing the social workers, and then you would get a contract every year, you know? So I said, okay, no, I need something stable, have a family at the end of the day. So that's how I ended up going to the Division of Examination within government, right? So I was there, and then during that time, I was a research officer there, doing my research. That's where the psychology came into, because in the study you have to do a lot of research as well. So that was helpful, and that brought me the stability working within government, but also still with being in the Division of Exam in the Ministry of Education, you're still connected with the schools, So I enjoyed, at the end of the day, working with the schools. During that period, before I actually went into the cabinet, which is more political, I also served on the supervisory board of directors for the harbor.
Okay.
Yes, I was there for a period of time. And then afterwards, I was asked to join a cabinet to be chief of staff for the minister then of Romy.
Nice.
So I accepted. I was there. And that was lasted about a year and 6 months. And then due to certain circumstances, the minister stepped down, and then they asked me to fill that position. So then that's when I became the minister of Romy.
Nice.
So yeah, but you know, and that's why I say everything happens how it's supposed to happen, because being the chief of staff, it gave me the insight of what the ministry was, how it functioned. It gave me a different aspect in how I can communicate with the ministry. So I build relations. So when I became minister, it made things a lot easier as well, because you know what's going on, you know how the process works, and so forth. So
Nice.
I think that was kind of a success for me, because although I only stayed there for 7 months, seeing what happened politically at that time, you know, and I was asked to run during that time, but I said no at the time, because for me, I just want to focus. I was new in that role, and I just want to focus on doing
You
the
want to
job.
make sure you did the best job possible.
Yeah, in the time that I had, you know. But then afterwards, when I was out for the 4 years, because I wasn't there, I really said, no, you know, St. Martin needs a change. St. Martin needs something different. That's when we created the URSM. And that's when I said, you know, I'm going to go in it. It's something I believed in at the time. And let's give the people some hope again. And that's when I ran on the list. It's a completely different experience.
I was just going to ask,
You
how
know?
was it? Because then you came in assisting someone else's ministry, and then you became the
Yeah.
minister, and then you actually ran to hold a position.
Correct.
Those are all different experiences in themselves.
Yeah.
So then when you were running, how did that change your viewpoint now for the position that you were going for?
Well, for me, for sure, when I was running, and I told everybody already, my focus was on being a member of parliament, right? Because the election is for that.
Yes.
I've had the experience of being a minister, and I enjoyed serving the people in that capacity, but I wanted to serve as a member of parliament. So that was my mission. So regardless, even if I had, let's say, 2,000 votes, and somebody asked me, "Did you want to be minister?" I would have declined it respectfully, because at the end of the day, the goal was to have a
Be a
seat
member
within
of
parliament.
Yeah. And how has that experience been now that you've achieved that goal?
So far, so good. I think what helps me is, you know, when you look at where you've been, the road, and knowing how government functions. I think quite often you have members of parliament, you know, we have different roles, right? Because we're legislative, they're executive. Like, so a lot of people, even within the community, don't really know the difference.
Yeah.
So they will say, hey, minister, still, you know, but I'm like, no, I'm a member of parliament. Okay. But when you know how it functions over there, you can look at solutions in a different way when you approach it on the floor of parliament to request the ministers for certain things.
Because you know how things work on that end, so
Correct.
you can better bring it across.
Correct. And,
With an
and
understanding. Because I think
with the
that is
understanding,
very
but also
important.
knowing that it can be executed. You know? Like, for instance, if you listen to the meeting we had a few days ago, where I mentioned to the Minister of Romy that, listen, when I was minister, I sat with the Housing Foundation, and we kind of came to an agreement that they were willing to give the 2 lands, the properties by Foga Estate and the one in South Reward, and see if we can designate those houses to the people and give it to them at a symbolic fee, you know? Those were discussions I had as a minister, but now in a member of parliament, I can now help the minister by saying, hey, this was done when I was there, and they were open to it.
Yeah.
So go and see if they still open with it. And then, because at the end of the day, we're all about trying to help the community. And if somebody can get a house that they've basically paid for already, let's be honest, right? Because a lot of them lived there for so many years. They've paid for it already, so let's just give it to them and give home ownership to the people of St. Martin. So, but because I had the experience as a minister, and
You know what could be done.
so I know what can be
what
done,
has
and
already
it's
been done,
feasible,
and- yeah.
you know? And it's not just saying something to say it that makes it sound nice, but something that's realistic.
Nice. Not something to say just for saying sake, but
Yeah.
something that is feasible.
Correct.
That can actually be done.
Correct.
All right, Chris. And then what? Okay, so then for the time that you've been in Parliament, it hasn't been an extensive amount of time, but it's still enough time because you've been in different levels of government. what would you say has been your biggest takeaway thus far being a member of parliament? And what are you looking forward to the most as you proceed in this career path?
The biggest takeaway, honestly, when I became a member of parliament and seeing how it functions here, compared to, let's say, the executive branch, is you have a lot of staff working for you over there, right? Where, you, as you see, you have your office, you have your faction staff, but it's still limited to what is there, you know? So it's just to be able to see what you want to do. So you really have to be self-efficient and know what you want and how to carry it out.
Okay.
You know, because when you come as a minister, the ministry already has plans. So you just review it, you follow up with it, and you execute it.
There you go.
Whereas a member of parliament, it's your plans, it's your ideas. You know, so it's really you. What do you want to do?
You're on
What
the
do you
other
want
side
to
now.
carry? Yeah, so what do you want to carry out? So for me, it's just continuing being the voice of the people that I think I've been trying to do the best I can, but also seeing where we can change certain things. So one of the things I would really like to tackle is the legislative part as to having a sex offenders list. I think having been a social worker and hearing certain stories as well, and even, I mean, the people know what's been going on. You see it in the newspapers as well. We need to, I know it's a small community, but there has to be a way where we can
You need
keep
an
track of
official
certain
list,
things.
An official, not I know and you know and we know, but it's
Yeah, we
an
need to be
official
able to
list,
track
yeah.
it in a certain way to prevent persons to endanger other people. You know what I mean? And also, yeah, to do that and to make sure that those persons actually that end up on the list get the help they need. You know, because if you look at it statistically, a lot of persons that are offending sexually people have been offended in the past.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So it's just a cycle. So unless we help them and give them the tools, it will continue to happen. And then you'll have generations that will.
Suffer at the hands.
Correct.
I got you. Okay. Well, my people, we had a whole chat here with MP Chris Wever. My drink.
Let me finish my though.
Come on, Chris. You need to catch up. There we go. There we go. Thank you, my people, for being here with us as we had this chat. MP, I thank you so much for inviting me into your office.
Yes, it's a pleasure, and you're always welcome. And actually, everybody's welcome.
If you want to talk to the minister, he said it on camera.
Member of Parliament.
And what did I say? Minister.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can start over when you want, if you want to.
okay. All right. If you want to talk to the MP, he said it on camera. We have it recorded. He can't take it back.
Yeah. It's not my house, huh? It's the people's house. So technically, it's everybody's office.
It's open.
Yeah.
So my people, thank you for being here. Chris, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
until the next song, my people, I will see you the next time.